Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the launch of the Regional Resource Hub. My name is Dennis, and I will be guiding you through the event today. We will begin a short introduction to the Biopharma project and the project partners. Then we will be introduced in more detail to the RRH, how it works, what it offers. After that, we will hear from various stakeholders on their roles and expectations relating to the RRH. Before we show you some products of the RRH, in particular one tool used in protected areas, as well as a knowledge product of the RRH, which we are also launching today. To round the event off, we will be looking into the future of what is in the pipeline for the RRH before we close. I hope you will all enjoy this event with us today, and please feel free to comment or ask questions in the Q&A section. Introduce yourself in the chat, set this to speaker view. Without further ado, I will hand over to Christine, who is a Senior Program Officer at IUCN, for a short introduction to the Biopharma program. Over to you, Christine.
Thank you, Dennis. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. My name is Christine Menzel, and I'm the coordinator of the Biopharma program for the Eastern and Southern African region. I have the privilege of introducing briefly the Biopharma project today, the Biodiversity and Protected Areas Management Program, which provides a framework for the regional hub, which we are launching today. Next slide, please. Biopharma is an initiative of the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, financed by the European Union's 11th European Development Fund. It is implemented jointly by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, and the Joint Research Centre of the European Commission, JRC, with the Regional Centre for Mapping of Resources for Development, RCMRD, coming on board in this region as the observatory hosting partner. The broad goal of the Biopharma project is to address priorities of the ACP region for improved management and governance of biodiversity and natural resources through better use and monitoring of information and capacity development. In this context, Biopharma is providing a wide range of tools, services, and funding to conservation actors in Africa, the Caribbean, and in the Pacific. Next slide, please. The ACP region is highlighted on the global map, the Caribbean on the left, then Africa in the middle, and the Pacific to the right. The Eastern and Southern African region, comprising 24 countries, is highlighted again on the far right. This is the region that is the focus of the Regional Resource Hub that we are launching today. The entire ACP region comprises 79 countries and more than 1 billion people whose livelihoods depend on natural resources. It contains more than half of the world's 35 biodiversity hotspots and more than 9,000 protected areas, both terrestrial and marine. Next slide, please. Biopharma essentially has three main areas of work. The first area are the regional observatories, which incorporate the Regional Reference Information System developed by the Joint Research Centre. These observatories have been developed in the various subregions of the ACP and provide information and tools to support decision-making for affected protected areas management. The Regional Resource Hub is the observatory for the Eastern and Southern African region. The second area of work in the Biopharma program is capacity building through training as well as knowledge and information exchange. The focus of these capacity development actions is on both data management related topics as well as also protected area management and governance topics. And the third area of work in Biopharma is the action component. This is a competitive granting mechanism that seeks to improve on-the-ground management and governance in protected areas. The grants aim to fill a gap identified for these areas through assessments on governance and management, and thus make a tangible contribution towards fair and effectively managed protected and conserved areas across the ACP region. Next slide, please. In summary, Biopharma seeks to support more effective and fair protected areas through the use of diagnostic tools on the top of the slide, identifying priority actions, moving along in the cycle, which can then be addressed through capacity development and access to funding, for example, from the action component, as well as then renewed monitoring and reporting of indicators to inform overall progress, closing the cycle. The Regional Resource Hub is one component within the cycle that focuses in particular on the information and capacity development component, pictured more at the top of this slide. Next slide, please. So if you have not already done so, please do visit the BioPalma website for more information about the project and about the activities that are already on the region. The website is now also showing on your screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine. Now I would like to invite the project partners and donors to say a few introductory words. We will start with IUCN Eastern and Southern Africa, where Leo Niskanen will be sharing introductory words on behalf of Luther and Kerr, the IUCN Regional Director. Leo, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, apologies from our regional director, Luther Anokor, who was not able to join us today due to some unanticipated connectivity issues. So he asked me to step in to say a few opening remarks on his behalf. So on behalf of the IUCN Eastern and Southern Africa Regional Office, a warm welcome to this virtual launch of the Eastern and Southern Africa Regional Resource Hub. The IUCN Eastern and Southern Africa Regional Office is proud to have been involved in the BioPalma program since its inception, and I am delighted that we have reached this major milestone today. As a knowledge-based organization with decades-long experience in providing technically sound and scientifically robust information and guidance for policy and practice in nature conservation in Eastern and Southern Africa, IUCN can attest to the importance of making available accurate, objective, and up-to-date information to support our collective efforts to conserve biodiversity in the region. The Regional Resource Hub, which we are launching here today, will be at the center of our efforts to continue to ensure that reliable and up-to-date data, information, tools, and resources are made available and customized to the needs of our region in order to support effective and fair management and governance of protected and conserved areas. The Resource Hub is envisaged to become the go-to place for policymakers, conservation practitioners, and donors to find the latest information and best practices, tools, and guidance on protected and conserved areas. The Resource Hub will also play an important role in monitoring the state of our protected and conserved areas and to track progress the region is making towards national, regional, and global targets, such as those articulated in the Convention on Biological Diversity, the World Heritage Convention, the Ramsar Convention, to mention just a few. Let me close these short remarks by congratulating the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States and our partners, the European Commission's Joint Research Center and the Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development, for this great achievement today. I would also like to express our gratitude to the European Union for the financial support that has made it possible for us to reach this milestone. I wish you a successful launch and look forward to working with you all in the coming months and years to build on this great foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. Next, I would like to invite Stephen Pido, Senior Scientific Officer at the European Commission Joint Research Center and BioPalma Coordinator for JRC. Steve, over to you.
Thank you, Dennis, and good afternoon, everybody. It's indeed an honor to be present at this launch. I'm delighted to be here on behalf of the JRC, the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, the in-house science service of the European Union. And JRC is a implementing partner in the BioPalma program. We are responsible for a large part of the technological input to BioPalma, developing information systems, and we've heard a lot from Christine already in her introduction about how important information and effective knowledge is for effective management of protected areas. So we're delighted to see the work that we've been doing on developing those information systems extending to all our regions, specifically into the East and Southern Africa region that is launching the Regional Resource Hub today. And although we talk a lot about technology, really the fundamental aspect for me is the long-standing partnerships that that technology depends upon. We know we can only go so far with great tools, great technology. We need to draw on that know-how, those networks, and that's what the partnership around the Regional Resource Hub represents. So my thanks, my sincere thanks go to RCMRD as the host of the Regional Resource Hub, and to IUCN and all the other partners involved in the work that's led us to this important milestone today. We're extremely confident that the technological parts of this development will be built on the highest standards. We know that RCMRD have an excellent track record and also are extremely well positioned at the center of this hub, institutionally, technologically, and through the various projects and programs that they are involved in. And all those programs are interrelated, and that's my key message for today, is about integration. What we really want to see in this hub is joining the dots. It's probably not the best metaphor since we're talking about a hub, which is more of a wheel. Maybe it's aligning all the spokes in the wheel. But we do really want to see this hub attract all of the information and knowledge that comes from different initiatives across the region. So I wish you today, all participants, a very successful meeting. And I also invite you to be active participants in this hub. Don't just be observers. The JRC will be there to support and to learn from developments as we've been doing so far. And I'm really also delighted to see how quickly things have been built already within the hub that we're going to see today. So thanks to Emmanuel and the RCMRD team. Thank you to Luther, Leo, Christine, and all of the IUCN team, our partners in the region, together with RCMRD around this Regional Resource Hub. Thank you also to DevCo, European Commission, Philippe and colleagues, for your continued support, and to the Organization of African, Caribbean, Pacific States Secretariat, who are supporting our work. Thanks to all of you. Have a really excellent launch event. I'm looking forward to learning a lot more about what's going on today. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Dr. Emmanuel Nkurunziza is the Director General of the RRH host institution, RCMRD, the Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development. Emmanuel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dennis, for the opportunity to speak at this occasion. I wish to really add my voice to the previous two speakers in expressing my delight at this wonderful occasion of seeing something that is so important come to fruition. The launch of the Regional Resource Hub has been in the making for some time. And seeing this day come when we can be able to share it with the rest of the stakeholders is a moment of joy and happiness for those of us at RCMRD and our partners. So let me first of all thank really the key implementing partners, the JRC, IUCN, and of course the support by the European Union who provide the resources for taking this work forward. RCMRD was honored and indeed privileged to be given this opportunity to work on the Resource Hub, principally because this falls fully within the mandate and the normal work for which the center was set up. RCMRD has been here for over 45 years, principally set up to do this kind of work that the Resource Hub will be doing. Our mission as a center is to promote sustainable development through generation, sharing, and processing of geoinformation and other allied ICT technologies and services. So the Resource Hub is very much within what we expected to deliver to our member states. To make even matters better, the region or all the countries within which this Resource Hub will be serving mirror exactly the membership of RCMRD. So we feel by being involved in this, we are really serving the very purpose for which the center was set up. I wish to thank, as I said, JRC and IUCN for the consultative nature. I mean, I've been involved in many projects, but the consultative process that was involved in getting us where we are, right from the economic blocks, the countries that are going to be served, was deliberate, purposeful, and very detailed. And that gives me really hope that this is going to be a unique resource hub, because the stakeholders had a say in the way in which it was formed. Indeed, even the naming itself, the Regional Resource Hub, came from the stakeholders themselves. We started off with an observatory, but people in the region chose to call it a Regional Resource Hub. So that shows really how responsive the development of the hub was to the needs of the member states. So in conclusion, I really hope that the resources that are going to be in here, RCMRD commits to managing and maintaining the resource hub. Indeed, just last week we had our governing council meeting where we convened permanent secretaries from all these countries, and we developed a new vision. So two key elements in the vision are to make RCMRD a one-stop center for geodata, and also promote cloud storage of data and management. That's our vision 2050. So we are here for the long term. We are here to serve the region, and we hope to keep partnering with critical institutions. So thank you very much. I didn't really, I mentioned institutions, but I can't really close here without thanking Steve personally, thanking Leo personally, and other people who were at the forefront of pushing this process and seeing us get where we are. I thank you very much and give you the commitment of RCMRD to be at your service as and when the stakeholders require any service from us. Thank you very much and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Manuel. Finally, I want to invite Mr. Philip Mayo, Team Leader, Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services of the European Commission, to add to the EU's perspective on the RRH and open the event. Over to you, Philip.
Thank you, Denise, and all the colleagues. Yes, indeed, it's really a great honor for me to speak on behalf of the European Union, European Commission, so the Directorate General Development and Cooperation, but also partly on behalf of the Organization of the African, Caribbean and Pacific States that could not attend this meeting, unfortunately. Maybe you have seen in the press that since last year, the environment in general has really received particular attention in the Commission with what we call the European Green Deal. And among the components of the Green Deal, the biodiversity is really fundamental. We have the component on climate, component on farm to fork, but biodiversity strategy 2030 is really something really essential. And just yesterday, we had the notification that the trilogue, so this is something very technical, between the Parliament, European Parliament, the Commission and the Council, so all the member states, have decided to put a specific target on what we will spend on biodiversity during the next 7 years. 7.5% of the budget will be spent on biodiversity for the next 7 years. So it's really a good signal that for the moment it's around 4%. So it means that we will double the effort internally and externally for biodiversity. It is really an important message. We have supported the African protected areas for a very, very long time. The first support was in '86 in West Africa. We had more intervention indeed in West and Central Africa, but we have anyway many supported protected areas in East and Southern Africa. What is very clear now is that the protected areas, as we discussed with our partners, is not only for biodiversity conservation, but clearly it's also a fundamental element for the livelihood improvement of rural population. Not only by the biodiversity, but also all the ecosystem services that it provides, but also the contribution to the prosperity in some cases by pollination or even by water provision. So that's really an important element that I would like to raise, that protected areas, and it is important to mention it in the Observatory for Protected Areas also, is key for development. You don't have to oppose the two dimensions. And more than ever, we need to take the decisions based on really robust information. That's why in 2013, no, 2012, history is long, as you can see in my hair, we approach also the ACP Secretariat to have this idea of BioPAMA, so regional observatories in all the ACP countries for protected areas and biodiversity. Because we strongly believe that you cannot improve the management and all the services that the protected area can give to the population if you don't have the right decision. We can see it for the pandemics. It's difficult for politicians to take the right decisions because they have only a partial information, because the experts do not converge. And so it shows that information is crucial for taking decisions. And for that, we approach also the two big organizations specialized in information at global level. So the Joint Research Center of the Commission, and I had the honor to work at that time in the GRC, and the IUCN with a clear mandate at the global level on protected areas and on biodiversity. And we asked those two big players to work together to establish really information systems and regional observatories, and the two must be closely linked. But from the very beginning, it was very clear that we had to work with the main and the most relevant regional players. Players is not a good word, actors. And in East Africa, since 2 years now, there were discussions to involve RCMRD. And I must say, when I was a young scientist specialized in remote sensing in Belgium, in natural resource management and monitoring for African resources, RCMRD was already an excellent center of excellence on this domain. We had only a few in Africa, le Centre de Suivi Écologique in Dakar, and CSE is still there, present in the West African hub, RCMRD in East Africa, and others. But for example, in Central Africa, there was not really a good center. RCMRD was already a kind of a key center for in our domain. And I'm really happy to welcome RCMRD in the big family of BioPAMA. I'm also happy to mention to all the audience that we are also supporting another program with RCMRD called OFESA, so Observatory for East and Southern African Forests, and a bit similar to what we have done in Central Africa with OFAC. And for the moment, the teams, so the RCMRD and CIFOR, the Center for International Forestry Research, are really designing the start of the program, and we are in permanent discussion also with them to be completely complementary to what BioPAMA will provide as support to the RCMRD. So it's really our point. We want really strong regional centers that can also federate all the support that we can provide in this part of monitoring natural resources. It can be forests, it can be biodiversity, protected areas, but it's important to have one center. Just more specifically and quickly, because it's not the most important part. The most important part is really to see what is the hub and what you can get from that. But I would like anyway to mention that we have many activities in East and Southern Africa. We have a big program on wildlife trafficking, working with some international organizations like CITES Secretariat with the MICE program, but also UNODC, and also with civil society organizations with 15 programs in different countries of the region. And all those programs work also at local level. And that's why we need a strong center, because what you will provide as a hub will serve for the global negotiations, but also must be useful at the field level. And so it will be, you will have a difficult task, and by the way, but it's to serve different users with different levels of expectation. But I'm sure that with the good team that we have here, you can do it. So, and those programs will not stop. It's also another important message that I would like to tell you, because currently we are in the phase of what we call the programming phase for the next 7 years in the European Union. And I've noticed that this year, many countries of East and Southern Africa have put biodiversity and landscape management at the center of their programming. So it means that now we have 6 months to continue and to define really the programs at national level and at regional level. It means that the support to protected areas will continue. It is important also to mention that a program like BioPharma cannot be continued at global level, because this kind of funding will go more at geographic level, so national and regional level. So this is the right moment for you to show the utility and the relevance of the resource hub in East and Southern Africa, because the future fundings for the next 7 years after this phase of BioPharma will probably come from the regional programs. So that's important to approach also the EU delegations in the region. Last point, really this hub will work only, as it was said by Steve, by Emmanuel, only if the stakeholders are ready to play the game. This is something that can be highly beneficial for everybody, but at the condition that you contribute also. That's really a platform of information, a platform of discussion, a platform of capacity building. So it must belong to all the stakeholders of the region working in protected areas and in biodiversity. Last word for thanking all the partners here in this session. So all the colleagues from IUCN, all the colleagues from JRC, all the colleagues from RCMRD, all the attendees. I hope really that you will enjoy this session. I'm happy to launch this regional hub, and I'm confident that you will appreciate this session, and thank you to all the organizers, and particularly to Christine, to Leo, Steve, Emmanuel, and all the people really involved in this wonderful program. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Philip. After these introductory comments and visions from the RRH, for the RRH from the BioPharma project partners, we would like to invite RCMRD as the host institution for the Regional Resource Hub to introduce the hub in more detail to all of us. Let's see what it looks like. Over to you, Ngugi.
Thank you, Dennis, and good afternoon, everyone, from where you are joining. We are indeed excited to finally launch the Regional Resource Hub after almost 2 years in the making. My name is Ngugi Kimani. I'm from the Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development, and I'll take you through what the Regional Resource Hub is all about. Next slide. The Regional Resource Hub is a knowledge hub that supports better decision making for fair and effective management and governance of protected and conserved areas. We do know that our planet is really facing a lot of pressures and threats as far as protected areas is concerned, in the form of pollution, poaching, bushfires, agricultural activities, population growth. And it is through this that the hub tries to compile and analyze the relevant data and provide the necessary information to support field interventions at the various levels, including the local level, the national level, and the regional and also the regional level, with an aim of supporting the decision-making process. Next slide. The Regional Resource Hub in our region, which is Eastern and Southern Africa, covers 24 countries, starting all the way from Sudan all the way to the downside of Africa, which is South Africa. Next slide. We do have two levels of actors. The first level is the regional center, who is actually the actual host of the regional resource hub. We support and coordinate the technical elements of the regional resource hub. Then we are really supported by the regional economic communities. We are glad and we are fortunate that our region has 4 regional economic community blocks. That is the East Africa Community, the Southern Africa Development Community, the Indian Ocean Commission, as well as the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. These regional economic community blocks, they play a critical role in defining the specific regional priorities and needs as far as protected and conserved areas is concerned. And ultimately, the countries which the blocks are represented in, they are able to benefit from the regional resource hub. Next slide. The beneficiaries of the regional resource hub are at 3 levels. We have beneficiaries at the regional level, at the national level, and at the local level. They include various ministries and environmental national agencies that lead in issues to do with biodiversity conservation, protected area agencies, regional organizations, local communities living in and around protected areas, as well as the civil society. The RRH provides tools and services and capacity development activities, and in some cases, we do provide financial actions at the community site level to support specific activities that are supposed to support the communities at the ground. Next slide. The stakeholders that we do serve at the core most of the at the center most of the pyramid, we do have the target stakeholder, who are the local community, who are supported by the protected area managers. We do have the second level of stakeholders, who are the government and national entities, the scientific community, the academia, as well as the non-governmental organizations. The third tier is comprised of the regional economic communities, as well as the regional host of the regional resource hub. At the outermost lane, we do have the implementing partners, who include the European Commission, the IUCN, the Joint Research Center, as well as the World Conservation Monitoring Center, that support in compiling and collecting and even updating the world database on protected areas. And most of the data that we have in the regional resource hub has been linked with the protected planet that is managed by the World Conservation Monitoring Center. Next slide. The regional resource hub offers about 6 key things. One of the things that they do offer is assessment tools for protected area management and effectiveness, as well as protected area governance and equity. If a conservancy or a protected area would want to assess how well they are doing in this front, there are tools that can be used and they can be utilized from the regional resource hub. We do provide baseline data to inform decision making. We do also have some knowledge products that we share in form of reports, guidelines, and useful case studies, as well as success stories that can be replicated at various levels. We do also offer capacity building in these areas of data analysis, conducting the assessments, and so on. We do also provide the regional reference information system, which is really the engine where the data resides, where the information is analyzed, and it is synthesized in a way in which decision makers can be able to utilize. We do also support issues to do with policy and legislation as far as protected area management effectiveness, as well as governance equity of protected areas concerned. Next slide. In summary, what the Regional Resource Hub hopes to achieve is to really improve the long-term conservation and sustainable use of natural resources in the Eastern and Southern Africa region. There are 4 key things here. One is capacity development. 2, ensuring that the regional reference information system has the right data and any data gaps are filled. Number 3, to produce the necessary information as well as produce the knowledge products that can be utilized. Number 4, to communicate this information to the decision makers so that eventually it's the decision that the decision makers are able to make, they are enhanced at both the equity, at the effective management of the protected areas. Next slide. So with that, I come to the end of my presentation, but I would like to welcome you to a 10-minute video recording of the Regional Resource Hub. It's a video recording demonstrating what the features and functionalities of the Regional Resource Hub. We do hope that you'll be able to access it. And during your free time, you can access the portal by visiting the website that is on the screen. That is shub.rcmrd.org, where you'll be able to get all the information that we have presented today. And in case there's any information that you want us to feature, feel free to share with us those points. And the Regional Resource Hub, although we are launching it today, it is still work in progress. And we know there's quite a lot that we want to cover in the Regional Resource Hub. Please enjoy the video. Thank you. Resource Hub, which is a knowledge hub for the Eastern and Southern Africa region that seeks to support better decision making for fair and effective management and governance of protected areas as well as conserved areas. In this particular demonstration, I'll be highlighting some of the services that are available in this portal. We'll also look at the Regional Reference Information System. We'll also look at the Blue Planet Hub, what it is, and what role it plays in this particular portal, and some of the knowledge products that are available in this particular portal. Straight to the demonstration, we do have an analytics tool within the homepage of the portal that shows the various protected areas that are available in the 24 countries that we're covering. And in this case, if I pick one of the countries like Namibia, we can be able to tell how many protected areas are in Namibia. There are about 148. How many are recognized at the national level? That is 142. And how many are recognized at the international level? In this case, there are 6. We can be able to tell the designation of the protected areas. How many are classified as national parks, community forests, or probably wetlands, or some of them are forest reserves. We can be able to tell that. One can also be able to know the governance type of the protected areas, if they are owned by the local community, how many are owned by individuals, how many are owned by the government, and also the coverage of the protected areas, both at the land and also at the marine, that is in the ocean. This data comes live from the UNEP World Conservation Monitoring Center, and this data is updated every month. And what we have just done is to link our Regional Resource Hub portal with the Protected Planet, which is where the data for the world database on protected areas is usually hosted. Slightly down the analytics tool, we have a place where you can get the latest information and news that is happening in the region. So this is where you want to go when you want to be updated on what is happening as far as protected areas and conserved areas activities is concerned. We do have a section for upcoming events. It's what has been planned for and what is in the pipeline. We also have a section for useful data portals. We do know that there's quite a lot of data portals that are out there that are doing and showcasing very important data sets for our region. So what we have done, we have tried to list all of them here, and you can access these particular portals and you can get more information that is useful. One of the knowledge products that we have showcased or we have put in the portal is the State of Protected and Conserved Areas report. This is a very, very useful report that shows a lot of information for the countries that we are covering. So you can download this particular report from this portal. Some of the other knowledge products that we do have are categorized into 5 categories. We do have documents. These include things like reports, guidelines, and so on. We do have success stories and case studies of useful activities that have been done in the region as far as protected areas and conserved areas is concerned. We do have some useful story maps, some infographics, as well as some videos. Some of the categories of documents that we do have like biodiversity related documents, climate change documents, blue economy, fisheries, local managed marine areas. And on the right side of the screen, you will be able to see some of the new documents that have been added of late. So this allows you to access the most recent documents and knowledge products that have been uploaded. Some of the work that we do include some of the decision-making tools that are available. You'll be able to access them there. Some of the capacity building activities that we are doing in the region, and some of them how you can be able to participate in them. You can get information there. The key actors that we work with, we'll be able to get this information there, and some of the regional priority needs that we identified in the region, and we try as much as possible to meet in this particular portal. We do have a section which shows the stakeholder map, the countries that we're covering as intervention areas, the partners that are involved in this particular portal, and the teams. The teams is a collection of individuals who are supporting us in improving the regional resource hub by providing us with useful feedback. And this is purely voluntarily. They are more of ambassadors. And we are doing this because we do know that covering 24 countries is not a small thing. And we have representatives from the various countries that we're covering. And the role of the team is to really support in improving the information that we put up here and adding information that we might have missed. The full title for the team is Torchbearer and the Enthusiastic, Available, and Motivated Teams. In case you want to become a team member, you can apply using the application form that is available on this particular page. Some of the other resources that we have included in the portal is information about protected areas, what they are, how they can be downgraded, how they are downsized, and some of the categories that protected areas are usually classified. You can be able to get that information there. There is also some information about protected area management effectiveness, access to one of the global databases of management effectiveness data. You'll be able to get information there, and some resources that are useful for managing protected areas. We also have information about protected areas, governance and equity, some of the strategies that are available and the resources that are available at your disposal. We also have information about the IUCN Green List. The Green List is really the global standards and the best practice for area-based conservation. So if you want to know how a conserved area can be enlisted in this program, you would want to visit this page and get information about that. We do have information also arranged at the regional level, at the national level, as well as the community level. So at the regional level, we do have the 4 regional economic communities. Like in this case, we have the SADC region. We have information about this region and some of the useful portals that they do have, and some of the policies and the legal instruments that they do have and are useful for the region. The same case applies to IGAD. Some of the programs that they are running, like in this case, we have the biodiversity management program, very useful program, and some of the instruments that they do have for environmental conservation, as well as the geoportal that they do have. At the country level, we have information about the protected areas, the area they cover, both on land and as well as the marine, some of the key species that are available in that particular country, some of the global protected areas that are available, and the priority areas for conservation, and some of the data portals that are available in that particular country, as well as links of that particular of those particular portals at the international level. You can be able to get that information. At the local community, we have some information listed at the local community, some very nice activities that are happening at the community level. things like the first line of defense against illegal wildlife trade, some useful information there. Then we have a very good project that is happening in Zambia called Luangwa Community Forest Project. We want to get information about what's happening there. We do have also the Blue Planet Hub. So the Blue Planet Hub is an initiative that tries to leverage on the blue economy concept, and it's supposed to unlock the potential of ocean resources to support the economic growth and the development. So this is really a section that caters for marine and coastal related data and information. So in case you visit here, you see some of the opportunities and activities that are happening as far as marine related information is concerned. We also do have the Regional Reference Information System, which is a tool that is within the portal, and it has a broad set of data sets and information useful for tracking various conservation policies that have specific indicators attached to them. Some of the indicators that we have, like for example, at the regional level, is a policy on African Elephant Action Plan, and the policy tries to see how you can reduce killing of elephants and illegal trades in elephant products. So this particular portal has data attached to it, and you can be able to see the various data sets as far as the reporting is concerned. So that is a quick demonstration of the Regional Resource Hub. I would encourage you to visit it during your free time. The link of the website is esahub.rcmrd.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ngugi. This looks very exciting, and we encourage you to take a closer look in your own time. We also spoke to some of the RRH stakeholders ahead of this event about their thoughts and views on the RRH, and we would like to share with you some of their insights. Please enjoy.
Good afternoon. I would like to introduce you to some of the important stakeholders in this region who are engaging with the Regional Resource Hub. The first group of stakeholders are the 4 regional economic communities. These are the East African Community EAC, the Indian Ocean Commission IOC, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development IGAD, and the Southern African Development Community SADC. These regional bodies play an important role in the definition of regional priorities and needs, and potentially require information related to monitoring these from the Regional Resource Hub. A second group of stakeholders are the 24 countries in our region who access information for their national level protected area planning, management, and governance. And a third group of stakeholders are the protected area agencies and managers of individual protected and conserved areas. They access the Regional Resource Hub, for example, to use tools to assess management effectiveness or governance. We asked these stakeholders how the Regional Resource Hub supports their work or could support their work in future. Let's first hear from the regional economic communities.
Good morning, and thank you again for inviting me to talk with you. My name is Tabal Kobarhe. I work with IGAD, and I'm in charge of environment protection, protected areas, conservation and management. The IGAD priority, where BioPharma and the Hub would be supporting us. And that's the strengthening and operationalization of the regional, national databases related to protected areas and biodiversity conservation information system, also to monitor and evaluate the global, national, and regional commitments, where we are and how we are implementing, and how we improve our coordination and implementation of the national, regional, and global commitments like the SDGs and regional development frameworks, national development frameworks, and how these are linked to the global frameworks.
My name is Gina Bon. I work for the Indian Ocean Commission, intergovernmental organization. We are based in Mauritius, and we are comprised, and it is comprised mainly of island states, Mauritius, Comoros, Seychelles, Madagascar, and the Réunion Island, which is an overseas territory of France. Our core responsibility is to promote regional cooperation, and we work in various fields, ensuring that the countries, they benefit the maximum in the activities that we implement, and also to ensure that the countries, they develop in a more sustainable manner in a peaceful environment. Looking at the hub itself, the regional hub is a very useful tool in the sense that it will provide the region with relevant information pertinent to protected areas. It will serve as an instrument for not only for the countries, but also at a regional level. It will allow us to monitor and to provide information to the countries based on protected areas, how best they can use the information available on the hub to look at the progress of the region on a whole. Basically, we've been working a lot on marine protected areas, and this is very important because it is a tool that will be very useful for countries for the development of the blue economy. This is where we think the information in the hub will be very useful for us. And also we believe that with the RCMRD, the capacity that they have in terms of the technology would be very useful for our countries into developing as well, developing the marine spatial plan and understanding the use of the marine spatial plan.
I'm Tawanda Gotosa, Technical Advisor, Transfrontier Conservation Areas, with SADC Secretariat, Directorate of Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources. The Regional Resource Hub is a very critical tool that will contribute towards the implementation of our key protocol on wildlife conservation and law enforcement, especially with regards to implementation of strategies like the SADC law enforcement and anti-poaching strategy, as well as the Transfrontier Conservation Areas program. And particularly, we expect it to make a huge contribution towards generation of data, support decision-making of member states, and as well as generate information that will improve management effectiveness, and also looking at the changing trends in wildlife conservation across the globe. I think there is a huge potential for the resource hub to come in and support all these programs that are taking place in the SADC region, and in particular their contribution towards the international debate related to conservation of wildlife and natural resources management in the region. Yeah, one key priority area that we are actually collaborating with the Regional Resource Hub is the hosting of the SADC Transfrontier Conservation Areas Network portal. That is a very key, important tool that we use to share information, shared learning experiences between the TFCAs and all the new developments around the world that our member states and our TFCAs across the SADC landscape actually access this information, they exchange information, and for the benefit of actually the TFCA program in general, and other related conventions, information updates, and so forth actually shared through this this platform.
Yes, I'm Ladislaus Kiaruzi, EAC Secretariat, Head of Environment and Natural Resources Department. Basically, the resource hub for us is as a region, we see it very, very important because it is going to, first of all, to enhance the awareness on the transboundary ecosystems, and particularly for this case, the water sources, the protected areas like the wildlife, the forest, all the natural sources in the region. And in that case, we see it that it will improve let's say the policy making, because it will inform the policymakers on the situation within the region, both on the conservation and the management of the natural resources. That's quite, for us, is quite very important in the EAC region.
My names are Hilda Piusuluoga. I'm Projects Development Officer and in charge of projects and programs for Lake Victoria Basin Commission, the Institute of East African Community, based in Kisumu, Kenya. Our mandate is largely to promote and coordinate sustainable development in the Lake Victoria Basin, which include 5 partner states: Republic of Burundi, Republic of Rwanda, Republic of Kenya, Republic of Uganda, and United Republic of Tanzania. Therefore, the regional resource hub is very important for the Lake Victoria Basin, as currently we are developing the ecological mapping and monitoring tool, a framework for collection of data and information for effective understanding of the ecosystem processes and dynamics. The tool which is implemented by the coordinating partners or collaborating partners through BioPharma. We are developing this with the IUCN and Joint Research Center for the European Commission, Environmental Incentives, and the Regional Center for Mapping and Resource for Development, that is RCMRD. Therefore, the ecological mapping and monitoring tool will be useful for a wide range of resource management in the region. And with that, it really link with the Article 6 of the Protocol for Sustainable Development of the Lake Victoria Basin, which requires to identify framework for the sustainable management of the resources in the Lake Victoria Basin.
Thank you to our colleagues from the regional economic communities for these very useful insights and visions for the RRH. Moving to the second stakeholder group, we would now like to hear from a few countries in the region too.
I'm Tulani Metula. I'm with the Eswatini National Trust Commission. I work there as the Director of Parks. The Eswatini National Trust Commission is the public enterprise which is responsible for the management of nature conservation and cultural heritage. The relevance of the resource hub for Eswatini is that we are looking at it to align with our relevant information systems that we are currently having as a country for biodiversity conservation. And also it will align with the regional protocols, such as the SADC protocol, the Ramsar, the CBD, of which it is very important to align with all these initiatives. So we're looking at that relevance with the resource hub as advanced by BioPharma. And also we're looking at it as a component that will help with the capacity development for the country in terms of how to manage our data and how to share our data regionally and beyond. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Mam Rakutarjon. I'm a General Director of Madagascar National Parks, who manage 43 protected areas in Madagascar. And in terms of hectares, we manage actually 2.6 million hectares of protected areas. It's divided 3 parts, natural forest and a small area for exploitation, and within marine protected area. This hub is very important for Madagascar because now we can get very easy some information about our protected area. When we want to understand is our management is very efficient or efficiently, we can get very easy some information. We have now information system. We know who are the actors in the protected area in west, in east, or in Ocean Indian, around Madagascar. So I think it is very important for Madagascar to get those information for improving the conservation of our protected area first, and how to improve the livelihood of the local people surrounding the protected area. Because when we want to conserve more, to conserve very deeply our protected area, we have to help the local people for getting more advantages from the protected areas. So I think it is very important for getting some data information around the park, and for having some experiences from another partner, from another manager of the protected area in Africa, in particular in the East Africa and in Indian Ocean. Régional Ressources Hub est vraiment lié à notre initiative pour la conservation de notre biodiversité. Quand on parle de gestion, de bonne gestion, de gouvernance, de bonne gouvernance de la ressource naturelle à Madagascar, il faut un système d'information. Il faut des informations, il faut des données. Et c'est avec RRH-là que nous arrivons à mettre dans un panier ce système d'information. Et c'est à partir de là, tout le monde peut utiliser ce système d'information pour améliorer la gestion de la biodiversité nationale. Donc, c'est vraiment lié à la politique nationale. C'est un outil, c'est un dispositif pour améliorer la gestion des aires protégées. Le RRH, c'est un bon outil pour la mise en œuvre de la politique et surtout la déorientation, parce que du moment où on a des informations, on a des données, on peut prendre la décision pour améliorer les systèmes de gestion.
Now we would like to focus on a group of important professionals in the region who have volunteered to be champions for the Regional Resource Hub in their various countries. The Regional Resource Hub proposed to establish a pilot group that will promote the RRH as a one-stop shop resource for fair and effective management of protected and conserved areas. The teams comprise key people from conservation actors such as managers in the field and at the central level, NGOs, CBOs, and the academia. They are referred to as team members. Team is an acronym that defines the champions as torchbearers, enthusiastic, available, and motivated individuals. They will share their views about the RRH, their roles, and their expectations. Let us now hear from them.
My name is Christine Mashieski. I am based in Cape Town, South Africa. I'm the biodiversity advisor for the USAID-funded Resilient Waters program that aims to build resilient communities and ecosystems in Southern Africa through improved management of transboundary natural resources. My role in the Resilient Waters program is to lead activities across South Africa, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Angola, and Namibia that promote biodiversity conservation, particularly within and around key biodiversity areas. The information required for planning and decision-making therefore needs to be the most up-to-date and most available science and knowledge that can be applied across these countries and also across different scales. At Resilient Waters, we collaborate and work closely with local communities and local NGOs, dealing with issues such as human-wildlife conflict. And at the same time, we're also working with regional and national authorities. For example, we are looking at reviewing updated management plans of key protected areas, such as Trophy National Park and Moremi Game Reserve. So we therefore require information sourced from a trusted hub, such as the Regional Resource Hub. The information that we extract from this knowledge hub will be used to plan activities on the ground and inform decision makers on the way forward. The information will therefore be ground truthed and fed back into the resource hub after validation. So by applying the social lens to the ecological data which we extract from the resource hub, we're creating a feedback loop that helps build and maintain the database. I think that by applying a social ecological systems lens or perspective into the database, will not only strengthen the resource hub, but will expand the reach and application of this platform. By incorporating social, historical, political information and incorporating this into the ecological layers, we can provide a more holistic approach. Especially when it comes to planning and decision-making, social political information enables future thinking by building and modeling various scenarios into the resource hub. This perhaps could be something we could think about in the near future.
My name is Daksh Bihari Bandre, and I am the project manager for Environmental Protection and Conservation Organization, which is a local NGO based in the Republic of Mauritius. My daily work as project manager consists of managing several projects in Mauritius and in the region. So how can the Regional Resource Hub support my work is simply by facilitating information on other countries in the region so that we avoid a long, lengthy process to get these types of information. Capacity building is a common problem faced by many CSOs in the region. I would like to see maybe the Regional Resource Hub proposing more training sessions and workshops on protected and conserved areas management. And those trainings should also be accompanied by a certificate of completion, which would be really helpful for us as project managers to acquire. Moreover, I would also like to see a group of experts in protected and conserved areas that are well known and also know their subject very well, because as a local project that we are implementing in Mauritius, we face lots of difficulties, so we can approach them directly through the Regional Resource Hub. So this would also be very helpful.
Untitled Chapter from Zambia. I work for Biocarbon Partners, Section of Lead. So my work involves protecting areas, mostly the conservancy and also the national parks where we are buffering the So the Regional Resource Hub will be so useful in my work in the sense that I will learn more from what other countries are doing, protecting their protected areas, and also the techniques they are using in terms of capacity building those who they are working with, and also relevant information about their countries and how they are managing those areas.
My name is Tina Rahagalala, and I'm a capacity development specialist for a marine program inside an organization called Haitao, which means know-how. It's an environmental program funded by the USAID, and it is I'm based in Madagascar, in the town of Antananarivo, but I usually work in the seaside in the north and in the eastern coast of Madagascar. So thinking about my daily work, my job deals with developing a platform, a portal for marine protected areas and marine protected area stakeholders, including private sectors, including local communities and government. So developing this portal and providing them with data and information needed to improve decision making. So for me, the regional resource hub will give us kind of vision, additional regional vision of the marine protected areas and marine conservation that we have to integrate in our Madagascar vision as well. So I think that this regional resource hub is very aligned to the work I'm doing now. At the moment, the approach of marine protected area management in Madagascar has slightly changed. So we are trying to include all of these sustainable development goals into protected area. We are trying to assess to what extent the marine protected areas response to the sustainable development goals, including all of these well-being and all of these productions and human dimensions. So I really appreciate if we can add these to the portal, to the resource hub. And also we have seen that there is some specificity about the islands, about the small islands, and also about climate change. So I will really be very interested in having this specificity of small islands and climate change in this resource hub.
This is Tariku Beda. I am from Ethiopian Biodiversity Research Institute, which is based in the capital city of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. I am associate researcher on application of GIS for biodiversity conservation and development. Regarding with the regional resource hub platform, importance for my country is, since we have the national biopharma, geology-based portal biopharma, it is a very good opportunity for Ethiopia to adopt all the functionalities of the regional resource hub biopharma. Our geonode-based portal is designed with the similar platform, the regional resource hub platform, that's geonode-based. So it serves as a good practice to adopt for our national biopharma. In general, once we acquire these basic things, so it helps us to develop different maps, different data sets before we submit to the regional resource hub. Once we develop our national database, all the necessary requirements once fulfilled, so we can submit this information to the regional resource hub as per our country data sharing policy. The GeoPortal is a platform that facilitates the creation, sharing, and collaborating use of biodiversity and the protected area management. Our institution mission is to undertake the proper conservation of Ethiopian biodiversity and associated indigenous knowledge, establish participatory conservation mechanisms, and eventually to help access and the beneficiary of the biodiversity resource from the community. So this platform is a donor-based platform that is similar with the Regional Resource Hub GeoNode platform. So it helps to organize data from different stakeholders and analyze and distribute to the wider community. It has the data components and the data components has the layer and the documents, and the map, you can produce a map. And the about the component, we have people groups, that is the stakeholders. The stakeholders can log in, be registered, and we will develop stakeholders list here and resource components. It has important links, and then we have different thematic areas.
Thank you for all those interesting insights and expectations, and we look forward to continuing this engagement with the various stakeholders on the development of the hub to meet their needs. As Ngugi mentioned earlier, if you would like to join this group of stakeholders, please get in touch or visit the team's page on the hub. In the next session, we want to show a tool that is offered through the Regional Resource Hub to assess management effectiveness in protected areas. In the first part, we have a brief explanation of the tool, and then we'll discuss some of the actions that followed this assessment. Over to you, Domaina and Paul.
IMET stands for Integrated Management Effectiveness Tool. IMET is presented in the form of a computer application that can be downloaded free of charge, installed on a PC, and used without an internet connection. It's readable for all protected areas, regardless of the management and governance category. IMET collects, organizes, and views data related to protected area in order to facilitate analysis, reporting, and decision-making. Its final purpose is to guide management actions at the protected area level. Through the participatory format of an IMET assessment involving local stakeholders, the process improves their knowledge of the protected area and help increase their commitment. Its format enables better communication of the management results and issues with the national administration, technical and financial partners, or other national or regional bodies that support protected areas. Improving the flow of information at those different scales is one of IMET's strong points. In terms of content, it's important to note that IMET is not a new tool. It combines different tools related to protected area management effectiveness. It's intended to provide quantitative and comparable data that can be linked to a database. IMET is organized into three major components. The first one, the assessment of the context of intervention. The context of intervention gives an in-depth understanding of the situation in which the protected area is evolving, and it allows the identification of elements that will be the focus of the management. Correct completion of this part can constitute a detailed monograph of the protected area. The second component is the assessment of the management effectiveness. It goes through the 6 elements of the assessment framework proposed by the World Commission on Protected Areas, namely the context, planning, inputs, process, outcomes, and impacts of management. This component is the core of IMET as a decision support tool, thanks to several visualization aids that help in the analysis of the assessment results and also facilitate the formulation of operational recommendations. And the last component is the analysis report that allows the compilation of the assessment results and recommendations in a summarized format for the national administrations or any donor.
My name is Paul Wambi. I'm the warden in charge of Kisite
Mpunguti Marine Protected Area. Kisite Mpunguti Marine Protected Area was established in the year 1978. Kisite Marine Park is the biggest of all marine parks in Kenya, covering an area of 28 square kilometers, while Mpunguti Reserve is the smallest of all marine reserves in Kenya, covering an area of 11 square kilometers. Kisite Mpunguti Marine Park and Reserve is located at the southern tip of Kenya, bordering Tanzania, and has a total area of 39 square kilometers. The Kisite Mpunguti Marine Protected Area exceptional resource values include scenic islands, which includes Lower Mpunguti, Upper Mpunguti, and Kisite Island, coral reef ecosystem, which is key to conservation of several species of fish, marine mammals, which includes the whales, the dolphins, as well as the dugongs. It is also a critical ecosystem for the conservation of the sea turtle, as well as a critical seagrass ecosystem. In order to improve the management effectiveness and ensure the goals for which the MPA was established is achieved and maintained, the Kisite Mpunguti management, with the support of KWS Regional Office, JRC, and IUCN Biopharma team, undertook an IMET assessment in the protected area in April last year. The assessment involved the analysis of the context of intervention, which looked into the planning, the input, the processes, as well as the output. There was also an assessment of management effectiveness, as well as analysis of results. It was discovered that the MPA has an overall positive management effectiveness value, which ensures the preservation of park values, and that with additional resources, mainly human resources, financial resources, as well as capacity building to the staff, and with the support of some research institutions, Kisite Mpunguti Marine Protected Area could improve its weaker points, such as law enforcement, such as pollution, and activities related to climate change resilience. It was also noted that Kisite Mpunguti Marine Protected Area has positive aspects, especially on the values of internal management, and there's also a very good relationship with the local communities, as well as management of the impacts of tourism.
Thank you for the introduction to the IMET. I now hand over to Christine and Maria Grazia for the interviews. Over to you, Christine and Maria Grazia.
And now let's hear about the use of the Regional Resource Hub at site level.
Good afternoon. I had a great honor to be part of the Kisite IMET assessment in 2019, and I asked for what implementation actions they have undertaken after the evaluation.
The IMET assessment was very important to us, and it really assisted us in improving our management and governance within the NPA. First, I would say that it highlighted on our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities, as well as the threats which we were facing as an NPA. So Tite Marine Park has come up with a number of actions to be able to deal with some of the weaknesses which were realized during the assessment. First of all, I would say that since that time, we worked very closely with the local communities and other stakeholders, and we have been able to establish coral nurseries in Kisite and Punguti Marine Park. Secondly, we are working very closely with the Kenya Forest Service, which is the key government institution in terms of forest management. And therefore, we are working very closely with them in rehabilitating degraded mangrove areas. We are also working with other stakeholders to address the issue of ocean pollution. Our vision is to have Wasini as the first waste-free island in Kenya and even beyond. Staff have undergone a number of trainings since the IMET was done to enhance their personal knowledge, to enhance their competence, and also to equip them with necessary skills in order to discharge their work efficiently and effectively. Now, we have also introduced internal capacity building programs, and this includes the Fish of the Week program, where every week there's a fish species for the staff. They are normally needed to understand the fish species, to be able to identify the species, to be able to know the scientific name, to be able to know the common name. There is also the Talk of the Week program, which is also weekly, where we have educational talks. We go through videos. We have discussions on how best marine resources should be managed. It was a very important thing for us to have undergone through IMET, and through the tool and through the recommendations which we were given, we have been able to address some of the issues which were flagged out, and that has been very important to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Paul. I asked Nelly Palmeres, what are the main challenges in monitoring parks management, and if tools such as IMET, MET, are useful in prioritizing actions?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nelly Palmeres. I work with Kenya Wildlife Service and currently the Assistant Director in charge of Coast Conservation Area. Coast Conservation Area is a vast area spanning 5 counties within the Kenyan coast. Kenya Wildlife Service is actively managing these areas and in quest to ensure that these areas are managed well, that our management is effective. We have embraced several frameworks. 2 of the ones we use now currently in this region is the IMET and the MET. So these frameworks have really done good for us. They have ensured, even with the turnover and the change in the managers of these protected areas, that there is some kind of consistency in what we do in managing them. But it's also come with some challenges. I'm going to speak about a few challenges here. One of the challenges that we still are addressing at the moment to ensure then that we optimize on the use of these frameworks. One would be the capacity, that some of the protected area managers still lack capacity in the tool, capacity in the process, and so the evaluation sometimes and the monitoring doesn't quite give what is on ground. There's a mismatch sometimes on how it has been scored and probably exactly what is on ground. So that capacity is something that we still continue to enhance through trainings and just to ensure that then what we do is the true reflection. The other challenge we faced has been low involvement or low engagement of some community area and stakeholders, where we need much more in terms of information to have a good holistic evaluation. An example is when doing a social, for example, social impact, like in Kisite, if I want to know what the impacts of illegal fishing are, it would be very difficult to get the fishermen themselves to give you as much information as you would need because, of course, of the conflicting use of the resource. So that has been one of the challenges. IMET has been a very, very good tool, I would say, very useful tool. It helps you to prioritize. It helps you to prioritize on where to put your management interventions. It helps you to prioritize to see where the resources actually need to be injected, where the resources needs to be put, and what kind of interventions you need to do, how you need to see the long term from what you're doing, even in the short term, and how it feeds, how your short term interventions actually feed to the long term objective of meeting your goals and targets of the area. So at the end, it leads to what I call win-win. The outcomes have a win-win approach in that the people win and also the conservation wins. And so it's very holistic and it brings everybody on board. At the same time, it tells you the issues that they are. And so managers are not working from gray area or dark area. They're working from informed area where they're able to make the right decisions to ensure that the management of this area is effective and that the resources and this continuous improvement so that every day and every year we take another evaluation, we see that we have improved. So thank you very much for this time and I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nelly and Paul. And now I would like to invite Arthur Tuda, Executive Secretary at the WIOMSI, to provide his insight into the use of IMET. Arthur, you have a great experience in protected areas management effectiveness tool. Do you recommend IMET? And how do you see the use of IMET in a regional context?
Thank you, Maria, and thank you for inviting me. I'll start by saying my experience with management effectiveness is now more than 19 years. After working in marine protected areas in Kenya for almost 20 years. I've applied different tools in assessments, but the most recent tool, the IMET, I think offers a very practical approach and a very realistic and easy to understand method for evaluating effectiveness of protected areas. I was part of the team that looked at Kisite together with Maria. And just last week, we conducted another assessment of Mafia Island Marine Park in Tanzania using IMET. And the experience was just exemplary. I mean, IMET is a useful tool to train staff with. It's easy to understand to use in training. It's applicable to different levels of MPA management. So unlike other tools that require a lot of technical capacity, IMET can be understood by people working in PAs, people at different levels from the managers down to the rangers in the PA. I always look at a PA protected area as a house. When you're building a house, one of the first things you have to check out is whether you have the right foundation. Now, IMET is very useful in checking the foundation of your PA, whether you're standing on stable ground. And it also helps you to check whether your house plan is okay. I mean, do you have the right plan to build your house? I mean, it tells you whether your planning processes are okay. And then it also tells you whether you're making the right input into your house. Are you buying the right cement? Are you buying the right materials? So are you putting the right kind of stuff in your PA? It also helps you to check the kind of labor that you have. Do you have the right technical capacity to build your house? And of course, then it tells you, it can show you the results of your house, which is your PA, and the final outcome. So in my experience, I think IMET is one of the most practical tools I've ever used. And as a region, as WIOMSA, our aim is to promote the use of the tool in the Western Indian Ocean region. So far, we've started with Kenya and Tanzania. We hope to expand to other countries, including Mozambique and the island countries. We have 144 marine protected areas in the region. Our objective is that in the next few years, we should have at least half of those conducting management effectiveness assessments using IMET. Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you so much for your time, Arthur, and really interesting what you said, what are your plans, and we are happy to discuss further to see how the Resource Hub can support all this work on management effectiveness.
Thank you very much, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you to the KISITA team, the JRC, and COWI for this insightful example. Another service of the Regional Resource Hub is the production of knowledge products, one of which we would like to launch here today. I invite Leo Niskanen, Technical Coordinator of the Conservation Areas and Species Program of IUCN for Eastern and Southern Africa, to tell us a bit more about this. Over to you, Leo.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to this session. Yeah, so I will very briefly introduce you to this new knowledge product that we are launching today, which is a report on the state of protected and conserved areas in Eastern and Southern Africa. And this is a good example of the kinds of analytical products that the Regional Resource Hub will be generating on a regular basis using information collected from the region. And we envisage that this will be the first in a series of regular state of protected and conserved areas reports generated through the Regional Resource Hub. And that this first report is really intended to provide a baseline, and it presents a summary of currently available data from the region. Now, in the interest of time, I will just provide a quick snapshot of what the report is about. I would encourage you to download the full report for more detailed information. And my colleagues will share the link for the download shortly. Next slide, please. The main aim of this report is to provide a comprehensive overview of the status of protected and conserved areas in Eastern and Southern Africa, with a particular focus on management effectiveness, governance, and equity. The data used in the report came from the World Database on Protected Areas, as well as country reports to the Convention on Biological Diversity, or CBD. It covers a large region of 24 countries from Sudan in the north down to South Africa, and including the Western Indian Ocean region. And while there are still some gaps in the data, we believe the report goes a long way towards achieving one of its key objectives, which is to contribute to the assessment of the region's progress towards achieving relevant regional and global targets such as those articulated in the CBD. The report also aims to highlight key successes and best practices, as well as challenges facing protected and conserved areas. And there are a large number of case studies compiled from different sources and covering different contexts from across the region. And we hope this will also help promote learning between countries across this very diverse region. Very importantly, this report is also intended to support the strengthening of policy and practice, and even hopefully help inform donor priorities and funding decisions on a regional scale. And to this end, the key findings of this report have been used to develop a number of recommendations on critical issues affecting protected and conserved areas across the region, some of which I'll touch on briefly at the end of this presentation. Next slide, please. The report consists of 4 main sections. The first part provides the background and articulates some of the concepts and definitions used in this report. There's also discussion on the global policy framework, which helps set the scene for the rest of the report. The second part is substantial, takes up most of the report, and this is where you'll find a lot of detailed information, data and analyses at the regional level, but also detailed country profiles. Then there's a special section dedicated to governance and management effectiveness. And this includes a chapter on best practices, innovative governance and management models, and lessons learned, which I illustrated through a number of interesting case studies from across the region. And finally, and as already mentioned, the final part of the report outlines key recommendations based on the findings. And I'll discuss just a few of those now. Next slide, please. It may not come as a surprise to many of you that the report found there to be major gaps in the financing and resourcing of the region's protected and conserved areas. And in this context, it's important to note that this report was largely written before COVID-19 hit. And since then, the financing and resourcing situation has become even more challenging. The pandemic has also highlighted some of the inherent underlying weaknesses in current financing and resourcing models, which are discussed in the report. And a number of recommendations are made building on some of the innovative new thinking around more sustainable and resilient financing and resourcing options. In addition, the report suggests that a lot more work is still required to demonstrate the importance of protected and conserved areas in providing ecosystem services and supporting rural livelihoods, which might potentially help increase the political will and commitments by governments and other key supporters. The report also draws attention to the fact that while there's momentum across the region towards more diverse governance models, a lot more could and should be done to promote and enable the full use of different protected area governance types. This includes collaborative management arrangement between local communities, governments, and NGOs, as well as public-private partnerships, to mention just a few. Also, the report recommends making full use of what are called other effective area-based conservation measures, or OECMs, which are areas outside the recognized protected area networks, and which are managed for a variety of objectives, but which nevertheless contribute to effective in situ conservation of biodiversity. Another recommendation discussed in the report is the need to continue to strengthen cross-sectoral collaboration as well as cross-border collaboration. This includes building on the successes of some of the transboundary conservation area initiatives in the region to enhance sustainability and resilience, including to the impacts of climate change. Next slide, please. The report goes on to explore the existing gaps in protected area governance in the region and makes recommendations, for example, on the need to do more to reach national and global targets for coastal and marine protection. But there are also many other gaps. For example, freshwater biodiversity continues to be insufficiently covered in the region's network of protected and conserved areas. In terms of the main theme of this report, it is noted currently only 13% of protected areas in the region have conducted one or more management effectiveness assessments, and a much smaller proportion have been assessed for governance and equity aspects. Furthermore, no recent regional analysis of the outcomes of the existing assessments has been conducted. So it is in fact quite difficult to determine exactly where the region has reached in terms of achieving the global target on effectively and equitably managed protected areas. Improving the region's capacities to carry out management effectiveness and governance assessments and to conduct more regional analyses are therefore highlighted as priorities. But there are also many other gaps across the region, and we've heard already some reference to this today. Protected area managers still often lack the necessary skills and capacities to effectively manage and address the many challenges they have to grapple with in the increasingly complex landscapes and seascapes of the region. And these are also discussed extensively in the report. Next slide, please. Yeah, then finally, in terms of the next steps, we do, of course, not intend to let this report just sit on the shelf and gather dust. We are busy planning to catalyze action building on the recommendations made in the report and to fill some of the data gaps. And in this context, early next year, we'll be convening stakeholder roundtables to discuss some of the recommendations in the report and how to take these forward. Also, as mentioned earlier, our intention is to generate these regional state of protected and conserved area reports on a regular basis. And we expect the next comprehensive update to come out sometime in 2023. And finally, just to note that we also aim to have this report and the subsequent updates translated into French and Portuguese. And I think that brings me back to the end of this presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Leo. We hope that by now you have a good sense of what the RRH is about. And before we close, we would like to highlight a few points on the future plans for the Regional Resource Hub. Ngugi is going to tell us a bit more about what is planned. Over to you, Ngugi.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Welcome everybody once again. This is the last presentation of the day. And I'll basically highlight what is really in the pipeline and what we have planned as the next steps after the launch is over. Next slide. So some of the things that we'll be doing is one, we'll continue enhancing the regional resource hub portal with the relevant content. I've seen that there is quite a number of links and portals that have been shared in the chat. We'll include them as useful data portals in the RRH. We'll also do a synthesis of the SOPACA report. We have country-specific pages appearing in the portal, and we'll try to lift some of the content that is appearing in the report so that they can be easily accessible within the country pages. We'll continue integrating the Blue Planet Hub, which is coming soon. And this will be the section that will be dealing with marine and coastal information related activities. We'll also continue adding more knowledge products from the various partners and we have in conservation and community related activities. One that we are in close contact with is the Vukanao project that is run in the southern part of Africa, and it's a USAID project. Next slide. We will also draw linkages with the Eastern Africa Forest Observatory. This is the OFESA project that is actually hosted also here at Regional Center for Mapping. And we are in partnership with the Center for International Forest Research. And this is a forest observatory. And we do know that most of the protected areas that we have, they are classified under forest. And we will try to draw linkages and partnership with that end. Some of the other partnerships that we are exploring and we have started making contacts with is one with the Lock Hoffman Institute. We are preparing what you call a facility to respond to different nature-based tourism as far as COVID is concerned. And RCMRD actually will be acting as a data clearinghouse for this particular data that is useful for the different players in the tourism sector. There is also the initiative that is being done by UNESCO called the Ocean Info Hub. This one focuses on the web-based resources as far as the ocean economy is concerned. Then there is an initiative that is being done by the SADC TFCA region that entails mapping of all projects that they are undertaking in the South Africa region. So these are things that will continue enhancing and making available in the Regional Resource Hub. We do welcome any comments and suggestions that you would want us to include in the RRH. The RRH is really, really people-centric, and we would want to make sure that whatever we showcase there is something that you would want us to have. Thank you very much for your active participation and listening. That's the end of my presentation.
Exciting plans, Ngugi. Thank you very much. We now invite all of you to keep in touch with us and the Regional Resource Hub to use its services to the full and be part of its further development. I would like to now hand over to Trevor Sandwith, Director of the Global Protected Areas Program of IUCN, to close this event with a few final words. And over to you, Trevor.
Yeah, I would go on camera, but the host has prevented me unless someone can start my video. Done. Okay, so yes, I mean, it's really late in the day to start adding new information because I think we've been treated to a very rich tour, if you like, of the landscape that the Regional Resource Hub will actually provide. So I will make just a few remarks, perhaps to highlight some of the things that are top of my mind. And of course, there's always the risk of not saying some of the right things or saying some of the wrong things, but that comes with the territory. Just to mention that at the moment, I am the director for IUCN of the BioPharma program globally. And of course, you have met and are working with many, many colleagues that work in our team. But I'm also the director of IUCN's Global Protected and Conserved Area Program working internationally. So quite well placed to see how the region fits in to the Africa picture, to the global picture, and to our ambitions as we move into the next decade. And of course, I'm a native South African, so this is my region that you're all talking about. So it's very precious to me. So thanks for a little bit of a glimpse of home. So first of all, maybe I could just start with thanks. Thanks to all who have planned and implemented this event today. There are too many to mention, and I think all of the people that have been involved are on the call today or have said something. And it just strikes me how important this community is as a partnership to deliver something very special. This is not, in a way, a hub. It's all about the wheel. It's the spokes that link to everything else that's so important. So the hub is part of the engineering, but the organization that is surrounding the hub is the real living thing. So thanks to our colleagues in ISARO, in the Joint Research Center, in the DevCo of the European Commission, in the Organization of Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific States, of course, to all of you at RCMRD who are involved in the technical implementation. Without the partnership that you are helping create, none of the ambitions that we're talking about will be possible. And that's really one of the first points that I wanted to strike home, is that BioPharma is giving us quite a unique opportunity in a way to draw linkages and create bonds and an alliance among partners. So more than anything else, it is an organization. It's an organization of partners. And that's going to be a critical part of the future and of its sustainability. So maybe I'll change topic a little. We're all talking about protected and conserved areas. And I just want you to perhaps note for a moment how revolutionary that actually is. I know it's been a long time coming, but there's a very strong perception, including obviously in Africa, that protected areas are somehow areas that are exclusive, that they keep people out and they're there for animals and other wildlife. But of course, in Africa, that's completely wrong. Most protected areas existed long before protected areas were actually designated and formally in terms of laws and policies. And many, many areas are conserved de facto by people, by communities, by private actors, by organizations right across the region. And it's only relatively recently that, it seems crazy, doesn't it? But that we are embracing the full concept of protected and conserved. The term that Leo mentioned a little earlier, other effective area-based conservation measures, isn't meant to be, if you like, areas that are outside of the system. It's meant to be inclusive, that it's protected areas and other effective area-based conservation measures that together are the system. The system is of protected and conserved areas. And we need to get away from the idea that governance is only by the state or other authorities, but that governance, as Leo correctly mentioned, is across a range of different types, I would say. So including shared governance and ways of combining governance, and of course, even transboundary governance across the frontiers of countries. But this is the real challenge. That's also the real opportunity for us right now, because it's only been relatively recently that this inclusive approach has actually really become official in terms of the international conventions and in terms of the commitments that countries are making, both in terms of building their own systems and contributing to international goals. There never has been data and information on conserved areas. They're there. And if we can't see them, if we can't put them on maps, we can't then look at how well they represent important biodiversity. How connected are they? What are they affected by? So the Regional Resource Hub is a huge opportunity as we go into the future to fix this problem of invisibility. Nature will only be conserved in a way when institutions and society agree of what needs to be conserved, where it's being conserved, how it's being conserved, for it to be fair and effective. So many, many people have used that terminology, fair and effective. Fair refers to the fact that this is socially just, socially relevant, and beneficial to all. And effective means that it's achieving its outcomes. It is conserving biodiversity, it is conserving ecosystem services, and it is contributing to sustainable development. So maybe this is to sum it up. The system of protected and conserved areas across the region is fundamental to the future of humanity, not only in this region, but globally. Without that, the foundation for sustainability is lost. This past tragic year, paradoxically, has exposed that. We've known with data and information how important biodiversity is for human development and for livelihoods. But this year showed us in graphic detail how dependent the world actually is on the green part of the planet and the part that people conserve. Because there is no conservation without people, as you all know. So I wanted to just get back to this issue of decision making, and some people have highlighted and some haven't. The last thing we want to see is a big box of data and information. We don't need the Regional Resource Hub just to be filled up with stuff. Actually, the purpose of it is to feed decision making that achieves outcomes. If we can't do that transition, then we're getting off on the wrong foot. We don't need to have books, reports. We do need them, but we don't need to only have them. We need to have them presented in such a way that they become living, that we can say, I'm sitting in Eswatini, and my colleagues from Eswatini know I've sat there with them. What do we need to do? What do we need to protect? How do we need to do that? Where can we get this information from? So as a first priority, the Regional Resource Hub must provide the information that the national governments and other stakeholders need to do what they have to do. This is not for some esoteric global purpose. This is for our real day-to-day life. The fact that this area produces food for these people is critical. This is it. So we've got to know, we need our finger on the pulse, if I can put it like that. It's what we've been talking about is the vital sites of protected and conserved areas in the world. These are the places that are delivering what we need today and will continue to deliver what we need tomorrow. So we need the Regional Resource Hub not to be a reporting mechanism, not to simply result in analyses that tell us about the past. What we need it to be is a tool for analyzing what the future holds for us, what we need to do next, how we're going to respond to future challenges. So that the modeling and the analytics that are forward-looking are so crucial. And because I'm running out of time, I will just then just sort of focus on the fact that we really want to achieve a result. And one of the big results that we need to achieve is the sustainability of what we're all talking about. There's no way we can simply think that Biopharma is a project. When the money runs out, then what next? What we have in this room today, in our collective rooms, is enormous capacity, enormous resources. The big challenges for us to continue to work together. That just takes will. It doesn't only take money. Of course, money is going to help, but will is much more important. If we are producing the information that people need to make their decisions, then it will be sustainable. Not because there's money. We can throw as much money as we like and it won't be sustainable. So in the end, it's the value proposition that's so important. And as a last word, of course, everything in the world is delayed right now, and we are still waiting for the negotiations on the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework to be concluded. And they will be concluded in the months ahead. But in the end, this Regional Resource Hub and all the others that we've been building around the world should be tied to that. We can help the world understand what needs to be done, what needs to be funded, what needs to be governed, what needs to be decided about as the future goes on, and turn the Regional Resource Hub into a vital proposition for vital places on the planet. So once again, my thanks to everybody involved and to all of those who put together such a diverse and varied program. I'm sure the recording of this meeting is a result in itself, so congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Trevor. And with that, we'd like to close our program for today. And we hope you enjoyed the launch event, and we really hope you will use the Resource Hub and become part of the Resource Hub in the future. So thank you, everybody, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye,
everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.